What I saw in her eyes was not human, and now, one by one, my friends are dead. Hey, I'm Rodney, and I need to tell you guys something. Me and my buddies, well, we'd known each other for 12 years, a tight-knit group of 5 friends who had been through thick and thin together. It was at a backyard cookout that my friend, Mike, introduced us to his new girlfriend, Lisa. She was quiet, polite, and kept to herself. Yet there was something about her that made my skin crawl. I couldn't put my finger on it, but every so often I'd get the feeling of being watched, and when looking around each time I'd catch her, she was already staring. The creepy part was not that she'd never look away, but her eyes never blinked. As the night went on, I tried to shake off the fucking creeps this chick was giving off, but I had to say something. I approached Mike and casually mentioned that Lisa seemed different from his usual type. Hey Mike, Lisa seems different from the others, trying to sound nonchalant.
Exactly, that's what I like about her.
He seemed happy, so I dismissed my concerns, convincing myself it was just my imagination. But the more I saw her, the more the feeling of dread grew. Lisa was always around, never really interacting with anyone, just in the background. As some time passed, our other friends started telling me how Lisa freaked them out, which was hilarious after talking about it out loud because we were all pretty big guys. And still, every encounter left me more unsettled. One day I decided to talk to Mike about it. Hey Mike, can we talk? Something about Lisa just feels off. I can't explain it, but she creeps me out.
What are you talking about? She doesn't even say much to you. She's just shy, that's all.
No, that's not it. She doesn't seem like she's all there, you know?
No, Rodney, I don't know. Why don't you spell it out for me?
Mike's always been the hothead out of us all, so I knew he'd probably get somewhat pissed. But with me being the calmest of us, I was elected to talk to him. Look, what I'm trying to say is that she does not have normal reactions to things. So, it makes her seem off somehow. Like either she doesn't understand what's happening around her or grew up somewhere really different. Fuck, dude. What I'm trying to say is, her mannerisms are off. I feel her staring at me, and when I look her way, she just keeps staring with no expression, and it's creepy as fuck. I'm not the only one who is seeing these things either. What I'm trying to say is, be careful.
Unbelievable. So because she doesn't look away in 1.2 seconds, something's gotta be wrong with her?
That shut me up long enough for Mike to walk away. But his dismissive attitude only heightened my anxiety, and the situation only escalated from there. When we planned our annual off-road trip to the lake house up north, we thought we'd get a chance to talk to Mike alone. But as we drove up to the house, we saw that Mike brought Lisa along, making things awkward from the start. The tension was high, and her eerie behavior became even more pronounced. Lisa did several creepy things during that trip. One night, while we were all sitting by the fire, she quietly hummed to herself. It sounds stupid, but this was nothing soothing. It was out of tune and sent chills down my spine. I leaned to my buddy Dave and whispered, "Doesn't that song creep you out?"
Yeah, but Mike seems to like it. Let's not make it a big deal right now.
When I turned back around, she was staring at me again and was no longer humming. Another time, I found her standing at the edge of the lake, staring into the water. But this was for hours, without moving. Hey Mike, what's she doing?
She likes the water. Just let her be.
He said this dismissively. The final straw was when I woke up in the middle of the night to find her standing at the foot of my bed, watching me sleep. The most terrifying thing about this was that her face was expressionless, eyes unblinking. "Lisa, what the hell are you doing?" I shouted. She didn't respond, just turned and walked away. There was no way I wasn't going to tell Mike, so I rushed out of bed, and when I turned into the hall, she was gone. This made no sense to me. I was literally seconds behind her, and short of full-out sprinting, she could not have made it to their room that fast. I banged on their door. Mike opened it, rubbing the sleep out of his eyes.
Why are you knocking on my door like you're the police?
I told him what happened.
What are you talking about? She's been asleep this whole time.
He opened the door a little wider, and I could see her laying on her side in bed. I was confused for a second. Then a rush of fear came over me. Mike, I know what I saw.
You said you were sleeping, so you obviously got it wrong, and you probably woke up from a dream.
He started shutting the door.
Go back to bed and quit dreaming about my girlfriend.
I stood outside his door like a dumbass. Was I losing my mind? No, I know what I saw. I went back to my room and didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, desperate to get away from her, I spent most of the day outside by the fire pit, drinking to calm my nerves. Eventually, the rest of the guys found me and were quick to hide with me. As the sun set, I went back inside to use the bathroom, but accidentally opened the wrong door. There, in the dim light, I saw Lisa. Her gaunt, pale figure crouched on Mike's chest, his eyes round with terror. Her sinister grin stretched so wide to either side of her face, the corners of her mouth literally ripping open to reveal dozens of sharp teeth. She turned to me, her eyes dead and cold, and lunged. I stumbled back, slamming into the wall as the door shut between us. Panic surged through me, and I banged on the door, shouting for help. My friends came running inside, but when we burst into the room, Lisa was gone, vanished out of the window into the forest surrounding the lake house. Mike was freaking out, and we all scrambled to leave the house, terrified and confused about what had just happened.
Just grab the fucking keys and let's go.
Andy ordered. I was the nearest to all of them. I grabbed for Hades' key. His was the only truck that would fit all of us. We wanted out of there, so we left everything behind and jumped in the truck.
Mike, what the fuck happened?
I realized then that the guys just saw Mike and I freak out, but didn't know exactly why. Mike explained that he woke up to pressure on his chest. When he opened his eyes, he could see eyes staring back at him. Two things then happened simultaneously. He realized Lisa was not next to him and that he couldn't move. The way he said this confused me. What do you mean Lisa was not next to you when you were looking at her right in front of your face? He took a deep breath and said,
That was not Lisa, or at least not the one I knew.
Now all of us were confused. He explained that Lisa was a cute girl with glasses, hazel eyes, and light brown hair. We were all shaking our heads at this. No, Mike. She has very dark hair, almost black, pale skin and eyes. It was Mike's turn to shake his head. Not because he didn't believe us, but because this was all insane. He said she let herself slowly be seen by him, and the more he got scared, the wider her smile would get.
I watched as her skin slowly ripped itself apart, so she could just keep smiling. I saw her teeth get sharper, her mouth get wider, and I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. It was like she was holding every part of my body down.
Listening to Mike, I leaned my head on the window, just letting the adrenaline rush go. Then I saw a flash. I lifted my head to see what that was. Just when I thought it was nothing, I saw it again. She's following us. I could see glimpses of her running through the forest. Holy fuck. Drive faster. Hades stepped on the gas and we saw her slowly get left behind. And before losing sight of her, she stepped out into the middle of the road, watching us go. We skidded to a stop in front of the local police station. We all went to jump out when Andy stopped us.
What the fuck are you guys doing?
We all just kind of stopped getting out and looked back at him.
What are we gonna tell the police? That a little girl spooked us so we ran out of a fucking house? Oh, and not to mention she's not a regular chick, but a freaky demon spawn chick who doesn't blink and can run like a goddamn cheetah.
He was right. We sat for a second trying to think of what to say. So Hades threw out,
Why don't we just say Mike's crazy girlfriend went off the deep end and put a knife to his neck?
No one could come up with anything better, so we went on in. The fluorescent lights were like knives to my retinas. Stepping inside was like stepping back in time. Wood paneling was everywhere, and there was one cop with his legs kicked up on a desk reading a book, which he sat down on his lap and said,
What can I do you for, gentlemen?
No one said anything for a beat, so Hades repeated what he said outside to the officer, who just looked at us. His gaze went to each of us. I knew what he was seeing. 5 pretty in shape big guys making a complaint about a single girl. I spoke up. Look, officer, I know this looks weird, but I was the one who saw it. The officer said nothing for a while, then threw a
Hey, Chief.
over his shoulder. Another man from the back came out. The guy was massive. He looked like Santa's buff, grumpy cousin, which would have been funny, except for the way he was looking at us like we'd done something suspicious. The deputy began to tell the chief our story when he was interrupted,
I heard it all from my office, Bill.
which promptly shut Bill up.
So you mean to tell me 5 strong guys such as yourselves were so overtaken by a girl that not one of you could subdue her and call us?
Look, we don't want any trouble. She jumped out the window before any of us could, and we came here. That's all. I tried to sound as reasonable as I could. The chief stared at me for a beat.
Let me get this straight. You 5 knuckleheads were alone in a house with a girl whom had a knife. And when y'all came together, she spooked and ran out the window. Did I get that right? See, it sounds mighty like this girl was afraid of 5 big guys and had a knife as protection, wouldn't you say?
We obviously did not think this through.
Sounds to me you guys might have some more explaining to do. But first, how's about I take a look around at that lake house? Deputy, why don't you take these here gentlemen in the back until I see what's what out at the house?
Whoa, hey, we didn't do anything wrong. We came to report a problem, and unless you are actually arresting me, I'm walking out of here. And if you are arresting me, tell me the charges, and I will take my first phone call now.
I've never heard Dave speak any clearer in all my life. Then it all happened at once. We all started to speak up, just copying variations of what Dave said, speaking over each other, and the chief was telling us to calm down when we all heard the scream. We all froze. Mike started to say something, and the chief told him to shut the fuck up. We stayed like that for a while, listening to see if we heard what we all knew we heard. The chief looked back at us.
I don't know what's happening, but I am going to hold you all here until I sort it out. Bill book them and give them their calls. I know we all just heard a scream, and you just told me a girl escaped from you all.
Deputy Bill started to move towards us.
I need to see some ID.
I don't have ID, it's back at the house. I told you we all ran out and jumped in the truck and left. We didn't stop to take anything. The chief stopped walking towards the doors.
Why would you guys be running?
Then we heard the shriek again.
It's her.
Mike said this with such certainty we all looked at him.
It's her. I know it. Look, she didn't have a knife. I mean, not that I saw, but it's not like she wasn't trying to hurt me, but it wasn't a knife.
Use your words, son.
She was going to kill me. I know how this sounds, but she is not human. Something's wrong with her.
Something's wrong with her?
The chief looked as skeptical as he sounded. I had to step in. What he's trying to say is, she is mentally not there. I don't know what flavor of crazy she is, but she was trying to kill him, and she creeped us the fuck out. So when we saw she left through a window, we ran out of there. We didn't want to be around when or if she came back.
I see. Bill, I'm going to check out the place and be back in 30.
He looked at us then.
Seeing as no one conveniently has their IDs, we will have to hold you until I'm back.
I was going to protest when Mike exploded.
Were you not listening? If that wasn't her out there screeching, then what was it, huh? We've been all around here. We off-road up in these mountains and lake. For fuck's sake, we camp out there. I have never heard any animal make that call. Have you?
It was then the lights cut out.
Damn it, I just fixed those breakers. Bill, get them in a room. I'm going to get the lights back on, then head out.
Okay, guys, let's get you all back in a room where we can all settle down.
This is when all hell broke loose. We all started talking at once, while Deputy Bill tried to get us in an interrogation room when we heard the first gunshot. The shot was followed by a chilling silence. We all froze, adrenaline surging. Bill's face went pale, and he motioned us into the room, his hand trembling as it hovered over his sidearm.
Stay here and keep quiet.
He whispered, locking the door behind us.
Mike, what the hell is going on?
I don't know, but whatever that thing is, it's pretty fucking clear it's not pretending to be Lisa anymore.
Do you think it's her?
It has to be. Nothing else makes sense. Suddenly, the door handle rattled. We all scrambled to find something to fight with and held our breath, waiting for whatever was on the other side to reveal itself. The door creaked open, and the chief stumbled in, blood dripping from a wound on his shoulder and neck.
She's here.
He gasped, collapsing onto the floor. Bill was right behind him, pointing his gun down the hall.
One of you, take off your shirt and try to staunch the bleeding. Chief, what the hell happened?
That girl, she's not human. We need to get out of here.
We all looked at each other. the glow of the emergency backup lights, illuminating the terror etched on everyone's faces. We helped the chief to his feet, and Bill led the way through the darkened hallways, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. We moved cautiously, trying to stay quiet, but the tension was palpable. As we rounded a corner, we saw her. Lisa, or whatever she had become, was standing at the end of the hallway, her eyes glowing with a malevolent light. Her grin stretched impossibly wide, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth drenched in the chief's blood.
Run!
The chief shouted, and we sprinted back down the hall, Lisa's eerie laughter echoing behind us. We burst into a small office, slamming the door shut and barricading it with a desk.
What the fuck is happening?
Andy shouted, panic in his eyes.
Quiet. We need to stay calm.
Bill hissed. We could hear Lisa scratching at the door, her nails dragging across the wood. Suddenly, the sound stopped. We held our breath, straining to listen for any sign of her. Then, without warning, the little light that was left flickered and completely went out again.
Chief?
Bill whispered. Silence. Then we realized he didn't make it in with us. After some time, we knew we couldn't stay in the office forever. There were now 6 of us, and one who had a gun. We worked up the nerve to open the door wide, but we stayed in the office, letting our eyes adjust to the ambient light coming in from outside. The doorway was clear. Everyone stay together, I whispered. We need to find another way out. We crept through the darkened station, our flashlights casting long shadows on the walls. We reached the holding cells when we heard a loud crash. Bill turned, gun drawn, but Lisa appeared out of nowhere, pouncing on him with inhuman speed. Her teeth sank into his neck and he screamed, blood spurting from the wound. We tried to pull her off, but it was too late. She tore his throat out, and Bill's lifeless body slumped to the floor.
Go, go!
Mike shouted, and we ran, the sound of Lisa's laughter following us. We stumbled into another room, slamming the door behind us.
What the hell is she?
Dave panted, terror etched on his face.
I don't know. Safe to say not human?
We barricaded the door with whatever we could find, but we knew it was only a matter of time. The lights flickered back on, the horror plain to see in each other's eyes. Lisa's scratching started again, louder this time, more insistent, then stopped. Suddenly, the door splintered and her hand reached through, grabbing Andy. He screamed as she pulled him through the gap, his body jerking violently as she tore into him. Blood splattered the walls and his screams abruptly cut off. Dave jumped through the door, grabbing Lisa's hair, trying to get her off. She screamed so loud that it felt like my ears were bleeding. This is when she reached around and sunk her fingers into Dave's eyes. We bolted out that door, slamming what was left of it into her and our friends' bodies. We ran through the hallways, desperate to find a back door. We burst into the evidence room, slamming the door behind us. What do we do? I asked, panic rising in my chest.
We fight! Find something!
Mike said, grabbing a metal pipe from a shelf. The lights flickered again, and we heard the door creak open. Lisa stood there, her eyes glowing, her grin never leaving her face. She lunged at us and we fought back with everything we had. Hades swung his big fist at her, but she was too fast. She dodged his strike and sank her teeth into his arm, tearing flesh and muscle. He screamed, and the next instant they were both falling to the floor as she mauled him. Mike swung the pipe at her, striking her shoulder as she moved. He took another swing, but not before she reached him. She grabbed Mike by the throat, lifting him off the ground.
Rodney, run!
He choked out as she crushed his windpipe. There was a crack and Mike was gone. I backed into a corner, my heart pounding. What do you want? I shouted. She smiled, blood dripping from her teeth. What do you want?
You. Or rather, your life.
I bolted from the room, sprinting down the hallways, but there was nowhere to go. I stumbled into a holding cell, slamming the door shut behind me and locking it. My hands shook as I fumbled with my phone. Now I'm doing this live stream because I can hear her coming. I know you can't see much. My hands won't stop shaking. I called cops in the closest city to me. I don't think they believed me. I don't blame them. But they said they would send somebody. and all I can do now is wait. I can hear the creaking of floorboards being walked on around the station, the whisper of my name.
Rodney.
She's playing with me. She knows where I'm at. I've already seen her. Something swaying caught my eye, and I couldn't make it out at first, and realized it was hair swinging in the doorway to the cell block, which didn't make any sense. But as my eyes raised up, I saw her head hanging down from the top of the doorway. She was upside down, blood streaming up her face from her mouth as she smiled at me. I don't know why she hasn't killed me yet. Maybe it's because I locked myself in a cage, or maybe she is full right now. It really doesn't matter. I know she's coming for me, and I don't know how much time I have left. Please, if you're watching this, send help. Don't let her tear me apart.
Thank you for listening. I hope I was able to create an escape from your daily grind. Well, until we meet next time.